G'day everyone, welcome back to another weekly tipping video on the channel. Today going to be going over my tips for round 16 of the 2024 AFL season. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you do go on to enjoy, and let's start off with how it went last week. Okay, so how it went from last week, I got myself from round 15 a 5 out of 6. It was, I feel, a pretty straightforward week for tipping. I was close with going with Brisbane though, really bullish with tipping them, but I just went Port because I'm sensing there is going to be this bounce back, but it just isn't coming. It got even worse last weekend. It was honestly one of the worst games I've played in quite some time. Just looked nowhere near it. The Brisbane Lions, though, they look back. But going with the Blues, just too strong for Geelong in the moment. The Swannies, just got to keep on backing them in at the moment because they are playing some awesome footy. And then, yeah, how about this? The D's. I felt North could push them, and they kicked the last 5 goals of the game. Well, they kept them goalless in that fourth term, and could have run over the top, but the D's just held on. And then, yeah, the Dons over the Eagles and Freo over the Suns. Pretty straightforward tips there. Okay, quick look now at my 𝐼𝐴𝐴 tipping competition leaderboard updates. Having a look through, around, I'd say, 100 people or so got every single tip correct from round 15. So, very good stuff there from all those people that got every single tip correct. And ESPN Footy Tips user is still leading my tipping competition by 1 with a total score of 112. Okay, let's now begin our tips for round 15. The buys are finally done and dusted. Shame that there's no more Thursday games the remainder of the home and away season though, so we start on Friday. And by the way, this is why the tipping videos are now coming out on Wednesday. I've got Brisbane taking on the D's up there at the Gabba. Well, how about those Brisbane Lions, eh? At the start of this year, Brisbane, they just had a lot of cohesion issues going forward, and that's been, I think, a pretty common theme when they've lost games this year. Their connection and link-up play in the forward 50 has really let them down, and they've been exposed in transition a bit. But the midfield is now starting to really get on top. 𝐼𝐴𝐿𝐼𝐸, Dunkley have been awesome, and forward of the ball, they're getting some heavy contributors as well. Joe Daniher is, I'd say, probably been under the radar this year. He's been a high contributor to that Brisbane Lions forward line, and Logan Morris too. I think he's kicked a goal in every single game he's played so far this year. He has been a great pickup for the Lions. The turnover game and points from stoppage is really improving these last few weeks now, and they're coming with some momentum heading into this one against the D's, who looking like the polar opposite. Massive personnel issues they've had now. No Petrarca is really hurting them through the middle, so Trent Rivers, can he now start to play a little bit more midfield? He was very good last week against North. Max Gawn doing the heavy lifting. Oliver's not in the greatest amount of form. The limited preseason starting to show. They will get back Jake Lever though, I am pretty sure. So I tell you what, that's a massive inclusion to Melbourne's backline because they are really missing that defensive structure without him. The Demons though, forward of the ball, I still have issues with. The link-up play, hitting targets is just very ordinary. They aren't putting a high amount of points on the board, and playing a Brisbane side who are now really starting to gel together. We all have seen the Lions the past few years. They're a highly cohesive unit that can use the footy well, that has great link-up play, and they can really punish teams off the turnover and from end-to-end ball movement, especially at the Gabba. I can just see this one being a good win coming up for the Lions. They're out of form, the D's. No Petrarca, I still have issues with. They've got to try and get on top of that midfield battle. I think if there are any chance for the Lions, in really good form at the moment, we'll back them in, and they'll get on top of this one and win by 24 points. For the Saturday games now, first one up, we have got North Melbourne taking on the Western Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. The Dogs currently sitting at 11th. As for North Melbourne, just still sitting on the 1 win, but their past 2 games, honestly, they could have been wins. Could have knocked over the Pies if they were able to hold on, and they were coming home strong against the D's. Just couldn't get it done when the moments mattered. But I tell you what, their midfield is really now starting to, cause some havoc for opposition teams. It happened against Collingwood and also did occur against the D's. Luke Davies-Uniacke and George Wardlaw are really leading the clearances at the moment. Been in the rich vein of form. Tristan Cherry just keeps on battling on in the ruck too. And they're now starting to get a lot more from those role players. Curtis Taylor, also Paul Curtis. Jackson Archer has been awesome as that lockdown defender type. So really now starting to execute and hit some form. But how will they go here against the Bulldogs? Well, as I always say with tipping, the Doggies are a hard one to tip sometimes. They can be up and down a little bit. But I feel like in the back half of the year, post-bye now, they should really start to get a roll on. I think they're number 1 in the competition from points from stoppage. So when that Doggies midfield is on song through the likes of Bontempelli and Trelaw, Liberatore, Ed Richards, he's been awesome in the midfield the past 4 or 5 games or so when he's moved in there for the Dogs. they can really kill off opposition. And I just think here against North Melbourne, should be the case. I am liking the Kangas though. They are, the past 3 weeks or so now, they are becoming more of a better side in the trenches. But I just think the Dogs, with how they move in the footy and also behind the ball, they're much better this year. They should be able to cover North Melbourne here. Marvel, they play their best footy there too. 𝐼𝐗𝐤𝐿𝐴 for the ball's been great too. So I'm backing the Dogs here. Better side on paper. I should find a way to knock off the Kangas, but they'll continue to be gallant, I think, North. Push them for maybe 3 or so quarters, but the Dogs run away with it and win by 19. For another 1:45 p.m. game here, we do have the Swans taking on the Dockers at the SCG. The Swannies just continue to pick up wins left, right and centre. They've been able to, I'd say, really take on any challenge and just absolutely obliterate opponents through surges. They don't necessarily do it for 4 full quarters. They can, throughout a second term or a third quarter, just kick 5 or 6 in a row at you. They've got such a high amount of contributors across the lines in the midfield. 𝐻𝐻𝐸, Warner, Goulden, Rowbottom's been great in and under, and forward of the ball. They've got so many players they can nurture, and they've got a high amount of individual goal scorers. So at the SCG, undefeated there this year. They come in as deservedly warm favourites against the Dockers. But tell you what, Fremantle, got to give them their flowers when they can really get going in that midfield. They are a very, very damaging clearance side. I think they're number 1 in the competition with clearance or stoppage differentials. When the likes of Sarong and Brayshaw and Hayden Young can really get on top and get their clearance game going, they can be a good side, the Dockers. And forward of the ball, they have their targets. Josh Tracy, I've been loving his improvement this year. So aggressive in the air and does the 1%ers very well. Joice has been a little bit out of form with his goal kicking, so he's really got to bring his shooting boots. You've got to make the Swans pay. You've got to put on, obviously, a high amount of points and be extremely accurate, because the Swannies can just flick a switch and really punish opposition sides. But no Alex Pearce, I've been hearing, heading to this game. Apparently he's got that fractured forearm, so who does make way for him? Brennan Cox might not be able to get up for this game. Still been hearing he needs another week in the twos. So if they're any chance of the Dockers, they've got to really try and punish the Swannies off that clearance game. Their midfielders, they've got such great names in there, and Shaun Dux really got to out-battle Grundy, because he's been in sensational form. So I don't mind the Dockers here. I like it when they really get their handball game going through the middle of the park. They like to take the game on, but still for the ball, they do have their scoring issues and inconsistencies. And I just think here against the Swannies, who are on song at the moment at the SCG, pretty much a fully fit side at the moment. They're humming. I think Fremantle will push them like many opposition teams have been able to do, but it's just like that second half or third quarter or second term, Swans have been able to put away teams. So I'll back in the Swannies here. Currently the better side at the moment, and we'll go the Swannies by 16. Next game up, we do have Gold Coast taking on the Pies at People's First Stadium up there on the Gold Coast. This is an interesting game. The Suns are yet to lose at home so far in 2024. Currently a 7-0 record, I'm pretty sure it is, at home. But I tell you what, Collingwood is certainly capable of breaking this streak. They were able to smash the Suns at this venue last year. When we look at Collingwood coming off the bye, they're going to be getting some important reinforcements back into the team. I've been hearing Mitchell and also maybe Richards could be fit, and 𝐼𝐻𝐿 could be coming back into the team. I think 𝐷𝐿𝐴's another week away. So it's really some important ins, because they've been, I think, with some games this year, they've been exposed a little bit in the midfield throughout stages of games. And we all know the Suns, especially at home, their midfield can really get going. Anderson, 𝐼𝐿𝐴 love playing some good footy at home. Behind the ball too, when you allow Macca and Sam Collins to really control the game and get their intercept game going, they can be a really solid defensive side. But geez, whenever I watch the Suns, they're just so inconsistent on how they move the footy. They'll have patches throughout games where they just struggle to hit targets and struggle to put on points at a really consistent rate. Even from last week, just such a pain to watch. So got to definitely fix up those link-up issues. Ben King is going to be facing a fitness test this week, so he's a massive in should he play this game. Collingwood coming off the bye, they could potentially be a little bit rusty. They were very vulnerable against North Melbourne, but you know, the Pies were able to put a number on the Suns last year. I think overall they're pretty good interstate this year. Collingwood too. They're going to get some ins back in. They're a mentally very tough side. I'll go with Collingwood here. I just see them as a team with upside, and I still have trust issues with the Suns. I know they're very good at home this year, but Collingwood are definitely capable of winning this game. And I feel a good run coming into the back half of the season for Collingwood. So we'll go the Pies with this one. and they'll win this one by 20 points. Saturday night footy now, we have the Adelaide Crows taking on the Giants at the Adelaide Oval. It's just getting bad to worse for Adelaide this season. Currently, they have dropped their last 3 games, and geez, they've played some poor football, losing to Hawthorn and then also the Tigers at home, and just got outdone in the second half by the Swannies. But I tell you what, when teams are under the pump by media and they're getting a bit of review going and a lot of talk and a lot of the pink fingers pointing internally at the club, usually on the field they can bounce back and play some good footy. So I'm somewhat sensing that, I think, the Crows. And I've been saying they're still a talented team. They're still a team with some upside, with some players coming back in. I think 𝐼𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐸 was somewhat managed against the Swans, so I think him off the bye is going to be critical importance. When looking at the Giants, they're just chipping away at the moment. It's currently going win-loss, really. I'm pretty sure 𝐼𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐸 𝐿𝐼𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐸 is going to be coming back on the side, which is critical importance, because I think around the footy, they've been exposed a little bit, the Giants, in their losses, and sort of their Orange Tsunami game has been somewhat stifled too by teams that have been able to really punish them from the front half games. So they've got to really bring that back, the Giants, because that's when they get a lot of points from defensive half. They are a very damaging team. Interstate as well, the Giants are a very good side. I think they're the better team on paper coming into this game too, with the likes of Cogs coming back in as well. I like the Giants for this one. I feel like when teams are under the pump, they usually can respond on the field. And for me, the Crows, they still are a team that's threatening at home for the most part. I might go with the upset here. I'm just feeling this bounce back from Adelaide. I think the Giants, the better side on paper, should find a way to win, but I'm feeling the Crows with this one. I think if they can get the likes of Dawson and 𝐼𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐸, really get them going, ranking can always be a game changer. Heard that 𝐓𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐸's going to be playing in the twos. I'm just liking the Crows for this one. So if they can somewhat replicate that first half like they were able to against the Swans, really get that pressure game going and move the footy well, because they can be a good side when moving the ball from defence half when they please. I think the Crows can win this one. So Adelaide in the upset by 6 points. And the other Saturday night game, we do have the Cats taking on the Dons at the MCG. Well, Geelong having massive cohesion issues at the moment. They can't move the ball very well. Link-up play has been very ordinary, and their midfield is just getting well exposed. Dangerfield is free to play, so I tell you what, his effort and his intent was pretty good against the Blues last week, but they just aren't getting enough from many different players across the board. Atkins keeps on punching on though. Love watching him as a player, but heading into this one against the Dons, currently sitting in 3rd place, and their midfield has somewhat been exposed too. Their clearances have been down, I'd say, the last 5 or 6 weeks, Essendon, but they're getting so many contributors forward with the ball. Jake Stringer and also Langford and Peter Wright, and their midfield too. Loving Caldwell and also Durham Seasons. They're getting a lot of important influence from so many players in the midfield and forward of the ball. So yeah, a bit of an eyesore to watch at the moment, the Cats. At both ends of the ground, that's where they started this season so well. But defensively, they're just getting killed apart. And forward of the ball, they're struggling to find many answers at the moment. So still are a talented team. Could definitely see them winning this game. But yeah, Essendon, I just think heading into the back half of the season, they know that they've got to pick up these sort of games if there's any chance to at least make the finals, and they've got to show why they are a top 8 team. Better side on form. They're coming into the back half of the season, I think, with a bit of momentum. We'll back in the Dons here, and we'll go them by 19. Sunday games now. First one up, we do have the Saints taking on Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. St Kilda coming off the bye, heading into the back half of the year. They're really going to improve their just scoring. This is the big issue, I think, for the Saints in 2024. Defensively, in some games, they've looked pretty decent, but just how they move the ball can be very inconsistent. Their link-up play, their structure. And I tell you what, it's probably a good time to be playing Port Adelaide at the moment, a team that is incredibly vulnerable, forward of the ball, not getting much answers, and defensively, getting killed and cut apart. And with the Saints, I love that running game, and they can really expose teams' defences if they get that end-to-end game going. But still, though, have trust issues with the Saints scoring. But if they can turn this game into, get it into their terms, sort of like how they're able to against Gold Coast, I do like them here. So I'm feeling like this one could be a low-scoring, cagey affair. But yeah, Port Adelaide, similar to the Crows, they have been hammered in the media as of late. I still think they are a talented team. They're just coaching-wise not really getting it done. Team line morale as well. Could really go either way if Ross Lyon gets the game on his terms. Like them as a tip here, the Saints. But I'm feeling a bit of a bounce back for Port Adelaide, and I know that's what 𝐼𝐿𝐴 𝐼𝐴 haters don't want to be hearing. I totally understand that, but still think Port Adelaide are a talented team, and they have a very good record at Marvel Stadium and also against the Saints. So I'm sensing a bit of a bounce back. They're going to be angry. They're going to be fired up, I think, in the inner sanctum. We'll go Port Adelaide in a close one. A low-scoring game, I think this one will be. We'll go the pair by 10 points. Next Sunday game, we do have the Tigers taking on the Blues at the MCG. Richmond, coming off the bye, will definitely be competitive, I think, for the remainder of the year, and possibly pinch a result here or there. And these sort of matchups can usually be close games for the most part. I think last time these two sides did meet, the Tigers got within 5 points. But the difference is between then and now, the Tigers' injury list just continues to grow. They've gotten the likes of Taranto back in, but I heard Lynch is out again with another hamstring issue, so he just can't get out on the park at the moment. And the Blues, probably one of the most informed teams in the competition after the Swans, of course. They've won 4 in a row in their stoppage game, and especially how they're moving the ball has been great to watch. A team high in confidence. It looks like they're really enjoying their footy. But at the same time, the Blues are always gettable, and I think the Tigers always play their best footy at the MCG. The contested game when they have been good to watch, the Tigers, has definitely been a positive. So if they can try and win this midfield battle, they could definitely push the Blues for a quarter or two. But the Blues are just hard to go against at the moment. I gave the pros just then. The stoppage game has been damaging, and if they can outdo Richmond, they should get the chocolates here. And loving how they're moving the ball too. And forward of the footy, got so many dangerous options with the likes of 𝐼𝐿𝐴 and Macca and etc. And getting a lot more from their bottom 6 of their 22. So I will go with Carlton here. Hard to go against them. The Tigers might push them, and they'll continue to be competitive. But to be honest, if the Blues are serious, they should win this game well. So we'll go Carlton by 25. And for the final game of the round, we do have the Eagles taking on the Hawks at Optus Stadium. West Coast back at home, and they are going to be getting Harley Reid back into the side. And when Harley Reid's been able to play at home, they have been a good side to watch, the Eagles. They play with just this level of confidence, and they can get a lot from that midfield. And how will they go, though, against the Hawks? Because they're currently sitting, I think, in second place since round 8 or round 7 when we're looking at the pure form ladder. They have, I think the only game they've dropped since round 7 or round 8 or whatever it was their loss against Port Adelaide, and they were the better team. So they've been awesome to watch, the Hawks. Similar to the Blues in terms of they just look like they're enjoying the footy at the moment. Almost like they've got nothing to lose. Getting a lot from those senior players behind the ball. They are looking much more stronger week in, week out defensively, and their midfield has been great to watch. The ground level game's been excellent. Pressure's been awesome. Cohesion's been up and about. They're just its team with some great form, but at the same time, still are a pretty young and inexperienced side. So there's going to be plenty of good and bad with Hawthorn, but who knows? Do they just keep on soaring? It is, I think, hard to go against them with how good they have been going, but maybe post-bye they do play a bit of rusty footy here, because West Coast at home, they're a much more difficult team. Their clearance game can be very damaging, and for the ball, Oscar Allen made his return last week, so that just really improves their forward line alongside Waterman. Hawthorn can't allow to kick to the interceptors like McGovern and Barras, because they've been awesome in the air this year. So I do really like the Eagles here. At home, they are different gravy, but geez, the Hawks are playing some great footy, and their brand really is impressive and can really it could really stack up should they make September. So they are still a young side. I think a bad game or a loss will eventually come for them, you'd think. But I might just keep on going with the Hawks here. Loving how they are playing. They're a highly cohesive unit at the moment. And we'll go, we'll back in Hawthorn here against the Eagles. It will be always a tough trip over there in Perth, but I reckon they can find a way to knock off the Eagles. And this one will go back and forth, I reckon, but the Hawks to pinch it in the end and win by 9 points. So everyone, there were my tips for round 16 of the 2024 AFL season. Finally, the buys are done. Keen to get back into the swing of things with 9 games around. Let me know your tips down below in the comments. Are you going to be going with any upsets? Always feel like you should go with 1 or 2. I think we are due for a couple. So thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did go on to enjoy. And until next time, I will talk to you later. See you later, folks.